Yeah, we do.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. I think everyone has to approve that. And you'll be pleased to hear that it's not me chattering today. But for those of you that don't know me, I'm Sally, and I'm here today with my colleagues Jason and Catherine. And I'm going to hand over to them, and they're going to talk all about our report. So just a little bit of housekeeping. The session is recorded. So if you want to share it with any of your colleagues, then you will be able to. I'll send out an email to everybody who's registered. The recording will just go on the Funeral Director Support site where all of the others are. Any questions, please do pop your questions in the chat box. And if you just put 2 panelists and attendees, then everybody gets the message, and then we can all see the questions. So I've just put a warning in there so you can see that popping up. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Jason. You're going first, aren't you?
Brilliant, thank you. Thanks, Ali. So yeah, we thought this would be a really good opportunity to show you the reports functionality that sits within your partner area. So you've probably seen the tab before, but not really understood what you could do with it. And we're hoping that today you'll be able to, the takeaways that you have are that you'll be able to learn what to do with this bit of functionality. So we're going to talk about what these reports are, where you can find them, and then towards the end, what you can do with the information. So this is your partner area, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and this is where the reports sit, and Catherine's going to demonstrate this a bit later on. This is one of Catherine's sheep called Max, sitting in her garden. But the reports you will be able to access are the scheme overview, the tributes created per branch, tribute activity, which is a really interesting one, and then funds raised as a total by branch, and then funds raised per charity or good cause. So Catherine is now going to take over the screen and show us a mock partner area.
Okay, so let me see if I can do this. Now, hopefully you can now see the partner area. Can you see that, Jason? I presume
we can see that.
Brilliant. Okay, so we're looking here at a demonstration page that we have specifically set up for these modules. So we're not looking at a funeral director's own live partner area. And this is the page you're very familiar with, I'm sure. This is where you do all tributes, and you can create a tribute there. So what you'll notice along this bar that we demonstrated in one of the earlier slides is this report button here. And when you click on it, it has those options that we highlighted earlier. So you've got a scheme overview, and what I'm going to do is just go through each of these so that we can sort of take a look at what they are and the information that you can get from them. So you've got a scheme overview. The stats on here aren't great because obviously this is the test site, so it isn't a live page. But it is what it says on the tin. It is an overview. It's a snapshot of how your scheme is getting on, how many tributes you've created here. You've got the comparison from last year to this year. So that's what this little box here is. The donations to date. So again, donations this year and whether it's up or down from last year. And then over here, what you've got is the most active tributes. And with the most active tributes, it might be really nice to say, for example, you've got a family who may be a little bit hesitant or don't really know what a tribute is. If you find one of your active tributes with lots of candles and donations and photos and things like that on it, it's a really nice area to be able to find one of your active tributes. And actually you can then demonstrate a live page to a family to explain a little bit more about what a tribute is. So, you know, I know a lot of funeral directors, you know, often say, oh, how do we approach a family? How do we explain what one is? So actually showing a page is actually a really lovely way to do that. And then this box here is donations that are being processed through the tribute pages on a monthly basis. This purple column here will indicate donations made this year, and the grey column is last year. So again, you're able to sort of compare, you know, how the scheme's getting on just sort of in a one-page format. The next one down on the reports button is tributes per branch. So if you're a multi-branch funeral director, you will have all your branches listed here. Now, if you have you know, if everybody uses, say, for example, Burton-on-Trent uses the same login for Great Bar, that will throw your stats out. So what we do encourage is that each branch has their own login to the Much Loved Partner Area, because then they will make these figures here reflect exactly what's going on, or should do anyway. You've got a date range filter at the top. So we're looking at all the tributes created per branch, but you can filter it to this year, last year. You can pop in the dates yourselves to use a specific time frame. So again, it's quite nice to look at this information and think, oh, actually, you know, head office is creating lots of tributes, whereas one of your other branches might need a little bit of encouragement or refresher. And we do offer training. We can give training to specific branches here at Much Loved as well. So if you think, actually, you know, it'd be really nice for some of the arrangers or people at one of your branches to have a refresher training, then we're able to do that. And Jason's going to touch on that a little bit later. Now, at the bottom of these reporting pages, there's this green button that says CSV. And by clicking that, what you're able to do is export the data off the page that you're looking at out into a spreadsheet. So you might use, you know, change the date range filter to this year, for example, or type in the dates. And then when you click that button, it exports it out into a spreadsheet so that you can use it accordingly and how you wish. The next one down is tribute activity. So this is the activity that's taking place on the tribute pages. So I know that a lot of the funeral directors, it's a brilliant tool for processing and facilitating online donations, but what you're giving back to your families is a bereavement tool, and they're able to keep the page forever, and they're able to do so much more with it. They can add images, music, videos, add candles, fundraising events, excuse me, and things like that. And it's really nice to be able to see all of this on one page. You know, it might only have 2 donations on it, but actually the families are really using their pages as a bereavement tool and adding lots of content onto it. These buttons at the top here, say for example, you think, actually I want to see which is the tribute with the most images or the most donations on. You can just click on it a couple of times. It'll take it to the lowest first. Click on it again, and you'll be filtering all those tributes with the ones with the most donations, for example. Or likewise, if you want to see the one with the most images on, you just click it a couple of times and it'll filter those tributes in that order. Again, at the bottom here, you're able to click that green CSV button, and that exports that out into a spreadsheet. And you've got the totals here down at the bottom as well. So as I say, really nice just to kind of have a look at the activity that's taking place on the pages. The next one is the funds raised per branch. So each branch, as we looked earlier, might be creating a number of tributes, and those tributes are able to facilitate the donations for any UK charity or good cause here in the UK. And then you can see those donations and the amount that's being donated. So the amount of donations on the tribute page is set up by a specific branch. And the total of the amount raised. And again, down at the bottom, you'll be able to see the amount of money that's been raised in total for those charities. And that's always a really lovely thing to look at. If you use the filters, you can see all, and again, you can do it on a year-by-year basis. But actually, it's really nice for you to be able to look and see how much that you're helping to facilitate for these charities. If again, you can export that out using that green CSV button, and they'll export that data out into a spreadsheet.
And Angela, if I interrupt here, this would be a really nice way to kind of shine a light on an unsung hero within your business. So if you've got a small remote office that doesn't do a huge amount of funerals, actually they might have a significant amount of money raised, and that would be a really nice thing to talk about, to tell your colleagues and to kind of give your colleague a pat on the back and say, wow, look at what you're doing within your community. So it's kind of almost a bit of an indicator of how much you're contributing to your community, which is a really nice thing to be able to look at. Sorry.
That's brilliant, thank you. And then the last one is the funds raised per cause. So you'll have loads of charities that your pages are fundraising for. And actually what's lovely is to see on a charity basis how much has been raised for them. And actually a really nice opportunity. One of the things is what you're going to do with this data. One of them is actually to engage with those charities, let them know that, look, you know, how much has been raised, and what you are able to do, again, similar to the tribute activity, you're able to click the total raised, click it once and then click it again, and it'll filter this these figures into the charities that you've raised the most for. So quite often the top ones will be, you know, the typical sort of Cancer Research UK, and then your local hospices and things like that. So really depends, and it's also a really nice sort of view for you to see how much you've raised per charity through the tribute pages. So you'll have a column here on the total raised, but also the individual donations. And when you scroll down to the bottom, there's that figure again on the amount that you've been raised, but you're able to see it on a charity basis, and the amount of individual donations that have been made through the tribute pages. And again, you can click that CSV and export that out into a spreadsheet. So hopefully that's kind of given you a good idea about, you know, what the reports, the information you've got there on the reports is a really lovely way to, you know, be able to, you know, congratulate different colleagues and things like that. But what I'm going to do now is hand you back over to Jason, where he's going to tell you a bit more about what you can actually do with this data and some really nice ideas for that.
Thanks, Catherine.
I've just stopped sharing my screen so you can see all of this now. We'll pick it back up in a minute.
Brilliant. Here we go. So thanks, Catherine. Next slide. So what can we do with that data? And an example that I haven't got here is using the data from the tribute activity report. And the tribute activity report, sometimes our charity partners use the tribute activity report to help them identify case studies. So it helps you to see which tribute is being interacted with lots. And quite often when you're doing lots of funerals, you'll come across someone who is really well known in the community. And actually that could be a good thing to post about on your social media. Posting about every funeral, I don't think is a good idea, but if you're able to identify someone who's had lots of interaction on their tribute page, then that could be a nice thing for you to talk about on Facebook, for example. These examples here I've taken from LinkedIn. There are lots out there on Facebook, but I thought LinkedIn was a bit easier. So the first one is Freeman Brothers. They cleverly identified when their 1000th tribute page was created, and then they spoke about that. So that's quite a milestone. And obviously, from a business point of view, advertising that actually you have arranged lots of funerals is a good thing to embed confidence in your community. And then Tom Owens and Sons in February, they picked a month. I don't know, you could almost diarise picking a few months across the year, and they've spoken about raising almost £4,000 year to date. And then another Tom Owens and Sons example, they've looked at their report per cause, which Catherine spoke about. And so they've identified that St. David's Hospice, they've helped raise almost £5,000, and then they've spoken about that. So that's quite a nice thing to do. So on the subject of local charities, charities do want to engage with funeral directors. You're an integral part of the community, just like the hospice, for example. So don't be afraid to collaborate with hospices. So we can help you find the right contact. So if that's something you want to do, ask your account manager and they'll find the right contact there, assuming that they partnered with Much Loved. And so there's nothing really stopping them from doing a social media post with you. They don't think that you're ambulance chasing. They want to build really strong relationships with you. I know in the past when we used to do charity car washes, but this was in the days before social media, we almost felt kind of a bit neglected by the charity that we were supporting. But I'm hoping that we can help you kind of build a stronger relationship, and they can be more involved in whatever community activity that you're doing. So anyway, Freeman Brothers, they £500,000 through Much Loved, and they spoke about that, which is quite a nice thing to talk about. But again, it's not about the money. It's a big thing is about perhaps finding a case study through the tribute activity report, but it's just content for social media, which is all helpful. Leverton, so again, they've spoken about their cumulative figure to date. So they partnered with Much Loved in 2015. So these are some nice examples. we're more than happy to help you with content. So feel free to run it by us, and we can do as much as we can. So additional resources in your partner area, under the Manage tab, there's a link to our charity support, to our funeral director support site, and the URL is here. And on that site, you'll also find these previous webinars that we've uploaded, and you'll also see all of the upcoming webinars that you can register for there. And obviously speak to one of us, and we're more than happy to help you. Our next webinar, so on the subject of upcoming webinars, is Tuesday, the 21st of September at 9:30 on dedication pages. So dedication pages are really interesting for funeral directors to use. So think at Christmas, you would have a Christmas tree and you'd invite families to add a tag to the Christmas tree. So this is kind of like, you could use this as a virtual edition. We've also got the amazing Kate Walker, and Kate Walker is more than happy to provide one-to-one over the phone training, which normally lasts no longer than 30 minutes. So if you or any of your colleagues want to have a bit of a refresher or ask Kate to speak about something specific, then Kate's normally available on Mondays and Tuesdays. So be in touch with Kate or ask one of us and we can connect you with the amazing Kate. So that's about it, really, from us. What are your questions? I know Sally has answered a couple in the chat box, but now is your opportunity for any questions. Or Catherine or Sally, if there's anything that you think we should add.
No, that was great. Thank you very much. I just wondered whether it's worth just showing everybody where the funeral director support site is, just so that they know how to access it. James has asked if we're able to share the presentation. Yeah, absolutely. We can share that, no problem. So then you've got all the examples that Jason's given you to hand. And also we are, I think we're going to put together some possible sort of text that maybe you could use in your social media as well, which we'll probably pop on the funeral director support site.
So I'm just going to show you now where that is. Hopefully you can go back, you're back seeing my screen. So we looked at the reports button here, and then there's a manage one here, and at the bottom there's a training and support site. So if I click on there, what you'll be taken to is our much loved training and support site here. And it's got lots of information, lots of short videos, great resources in there as well. And so what you'll be able to do to see the much loved modules that we've done today, it's in, I think, promotional resources. And you click in here and you'll go through the different things. You can get your own client leaflets you can download and things like that, but there's much loved modules. And so that's what these short training sessions are here. And within here, there's upcoming modules. So these are the ones that are due to take place. And then the previous recordings will be in the previous modules there. And Sally mentioned that what we'll probably try and do is within the much loved funeral support site is that social media sort of posts and things like that. We'll try and get that on here as well. So this will be your go-to place for maybe sort of getting additional information. So as I mentioned before, it's under that manage tab. There we go, under manage, and then there's training and support there, and that will take you through to that additional funeral support site.
Great, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Keep cool and have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thanks so much.